name is Crystal Perla. I'm the President and CEO of the Council Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of our chamber members, I'd like to welcome you to the Candidate Forum this morning. Our mission at the Chamber is to strengthen businesses and build partnerships that promote economic growth and community development. And we do that in partnership with many organizations, the city and the county, and we're grateful for all of those collaborations. Local elections are very important, and we're proud to host this candidate forum, along with several of the things that we're doing to support the election this year. Before we get too far, I'd like to thank our sponsor, who has helped make this financially possible this morning, and our sponsor is Advanced Southwest Iowa Corporation. As the nonprofit economic development organization for Potawatomi County, Advanced Southwest Iowa Corporation's sole focus is on business attraction, retention, entrepreneurship, and site development. And personally, I'd like to tell you that Advance is a highly important and highly effective driver of economic development in Council Bluffs. And we are fortunate to have them doing that work in our county, and grateful for their sponsorship this morning. I'd also like to thank the school district for allowing us to use this room this morning, and the school district's technology team for helping us get everything set up, which includes a video recording. There's a camera over here that they are turning on for us to record the forum this morning, and we'll make that video file available on our website. I'm sure the Mayoral will share that file link as well. Finally, I want to thank the candidates for being here, but for stepping up to volunteer to serve our community. Running for elected office is no small challenge, and just greatly respect and appreciate all of you for being willing to do that in our community. I think this might be an unprecedented number of candidates running for both mayor and city council. So very grateful for you for being here this morning to share your views. Also, I want to thank the Mayoral. We have partnered this year with the Mayoral to provide a lot of resources related to the election, including the voter guide, which is available for free on our website, councilbluffsiowa.com, and includes some important election dates, resources, and candidate questionnaires that both the Chamber and the Mayoral worked on this year, and the responses from candidates to those questionnaires are available for free. The Mayoral also graciously offered to moderate the forum this morning and can come up with the format rules, the questions, and they will share that with you here in just a second. So let's get started, and I'd like to welcome Rachel George, who is Executive Editor of the Mayoral, to explain and start the forum.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to partner with the Chamber on this event. It's a great service to the community. This is an opportunity for you guys to hear directly from the candidates about their views, their priorities, and their plans for the future of our city. To ensure the forum remains productive and respectful, we ask for your cooperation. Please refrain from interruptions, outbursts, or any behavior that distracts from the discussion. Civil dialogue helps all of us better understand the choices before us. The candidates on the stage are also our neighbors. Each of them has stepped forward willing to serve the community, and they deserve our courtesy and respect. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to introduce themselves before we enter the question period of the forum. The questions have been determined in advance by the Mayoral in an effort to provide information on the topics that are most important to voters. Candidates will have up to 2 minutes to respond to each question, and each candidate will have the opportunity to answer a question first. To keep us on schedule, there will be someone with signage to signal time limits to candidates and the moderator. Candidates, a yellow sign will mean that you are approaching your time limit. A red sign means you are at your time limit. Please finish your sentence. If you continue speaking, I will instruct you to move on. We have asked the candidates to keep their remarks civil and to refrain from directing comments or questions at one another. So we can get to as many questions as possible, we do not intend to have candidates provide follow-ups or rebuttals unless I come explicitly invite them to do so. Following the question period, each candidate will have 90 seconds to provide final remarks, and then we'll do a brief wrap-up. Thank you again to our candidates for your willingness to participate, to the community for showing up, and to the chamber for hosting such an important event. We did a random selection to determine who goes first, and Matt is going to kick us off with the directions.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Walsh. I want to thank you. Sorry about that. My name is Matt Walsh. I want to thank you for being engaged enough to come out this morning to participate in the election process, to better understand the candidates and their perspective on the issues. After a lifetime of commitment to serving Council Bluffs, I think I have well prepared myself for the office of mayor. I'm a fifth-generation Council Bluffs resident. I earned a degree in finance from Creighton University. I worked 28 years as a commercial lender in the banking business. I volunteered on 23 different area boards, nonprofit boards, most of which I was an officer of. Was elected to 18 successive years as a city council member, 12 more as mayor. I helped identify 2 non-property tax revenue sources to rebuild the city's levy system. $70 million in revenue that would have come out of taxpayers' pockets. Had we not done that, your property and casualty insurance would have been thousands of dollars a year if you lived west of 8th Street in Council Bluffs. Identifying that revenue source to save. Successfully guided the city through the recovery processes of 3 natural disasters, 2 floods and COVID.
Matt, you're at your time. Oh, sorry. Sean, you're up next.
Hello, my name is Sean Bergstrom. I'm a lifelong Council Bluffs resident here. I grew up in the city, went to TJ, graduated in 95. After that, I went into the Navy, qualified submarines, became a flight gunner in the USS Louisiana. When I got out of the Navy, I came back here and continued my career in the construction industry. I come from a family that's always been in the construction industry pretty much since they immigrated to this country. And I've expanded on that construction experience by branching out into architectural design and civil engineering. One of the important things I think that we need to realize here is that no matter what kind of plans that we come up with to develop our city, we have one big issue that nobody seems to be talking about, and that is the Union Pacific Railroad. It doesn't really matter what kind of plans we come up with until we address this problem. Council Bluffs just isn't going to become the city that was always meant. They've been the #1 obstruction of our growth and prosperity, and that's one of the main reasons that I run for mayor this year.
Good morning. I want to thank you all for being here today. Your interest in this year's mayoral election shows a commitment to making an informed decision. If and when you see me using my notes, because I like to be specific, today I may be asked, if elected, what is the first thing you will do? Well, the first thing I would do is probably ask for a recount. But seriously, I think all of us on this stage want what's best for Council Bluffs and its citizens. We just have different ideas and solutions on how to get there. We all want to make Council Bluffs a better city that people want to live in and raise their children. Not just one we can take a picture of and make it look good on the Chamber of Commerce brochure. I've lived in Council Bluffs for nearly 45 of my 50 years. I've had some great teachers. I attended Longfellow Elementary, Hearn Junior High, Abraham Lincoln High School, before majoring in journalism at Iowa Western. Shortly after my first year at Iowa Western, I learned I'd become a father, and as many of you can probably relate to, I joined the workforce. I worked at Omaha Steaks, Gallup, spent 15 years at Omaha Standard as a union steelworker, and currently work for Tyson Foods as a safety coordinator. I can assure you that leadership skills aren't something I lack, and as we mentioned in the city, all I'm missing is the opportunity. I understand the discipline and sacrifice it takes to be in leadership. I also feel council as residents know that more of the same isn't going to work. I'll do my best to deliver to be a mayor that works for the citizens of Council Bluffs. Thank you.
Morning. I sit here today as a proud resident of Council Bluffs, a proud city councilman, a proud father, a product of the Council Bluffs Community School District's K-12 graduate from Abraham Lincoln. I went away to the University of Northern Iowa for school, and after I graduated Human Services, there's no better place to come back than Council Bluffs. I chose to raise my family here. I'm married to my lovely wife, Gary, of 15 years. I have 3 wonderful kids, Landon, Lila, and Carter. You can find me most weekends on the sideline coaching and mentoring kids. I did that for 13 years in Council Bluffs. That's my passion. That's what I love to do, watching young men and women where they start and where they grow and creating the next leaders for Council Bluffs, Iowa. Why did I choose to run for mayor on city council? I just see that we need a fresh perspective, different leadership, and new ideas. We can build on the foundation that's already here. The whole goal is to bring back our sons and our daughters to this community and keep moving forward. And thanks for having me here today.
Good morning. Thank you to the Mayoral and the Chamber for hosting this event today. My name is Jill Sheedak. I'm proud to call Council Bluffs my home. I was born in Jenny, and I actually own a house 3 blocks from where I was born. So that's awesome. I'm the youngest of 3 children. I have a wonderful mom and a great stepdad that sits with me at all times. I married my husband 3 years ago after dating for 7 years. I have deep roots in labor, where both of my grandfathers, my father, and my oldest brother have been proud union members. Today I carry forward that legacy of fighting for fairness, equity, and strong representation for working families. I have previously served on the Council Bluffs Board of Education, and I'm currently serving on the Council Bluffs City Council. For the past decade, I have worked for the world's largest financial tech company, where I currently serve as a product manager in the lending space. I manage multi-million-dollar projects on a daily basis. I communicate out reports and updates. I am a people leader of up to 20 people, so that experience makes me extremely qualified for this position. With my experience in budgeting, lending, project management, and passion for our community, I know I will be a great mayor coming forward. Thank you.
So we're going to start Sean, and we're just going to clockwise each person. Start your question. Our first question is, what would you do to address the need for affordable housing that isn't already being done?
Well, affordable housing is probably the issue I hear people most. And I think the wrong direction that we're currently heading down, where we're only building apartments and we're only building $500,000 houses on the east side of town, is the wrong way to go. This 1300 plan that we're currently operating on needs to be completely scrapped, and we need to start over. And we're going to start over by building traditional neighborhoods with traditional houses. People just graduating from college don't need a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, and nobody can really afford that anyway because we simply don't have jobs here. We need to get back to attracting developers that will build affordable houses, 2-bed, 1-bathroom houses, something with a yard that you can add an addition onto later when you pay down your mortgage. Attracting new people to Council Bluffs is an important thing, but before we do that, we need to retain the people that already live here. And one way that we can do that is by putting a property tax cap at 1.25% for both the Oakland zip code and the Oak Creek zip code. Level the playing field, keep people in their houses, and then once we start getting more affordable houses back on the market, that's when we start building apartments. That's when we start building these East End neighborhoods that are costing taxpayers way too much money. One thing people forget is that all this agricultural land that we're developing, taxpayers are paying for the streets and sewers for those neighborhoods. The developers are building the houses, but you're paying for the streets and sewers to get those houses built. So we need to hit the pause button on that. We need to get back to regular affordable houses, because this is a city where people work with their hands for a living. And they don't need to hire a contractor to add on an addition for a master bedroom or to build a garage in their backyard. We already know how to do those sorts of things. Thank you.
My objective for housing is to address housing shortages while keeping neighborhoods safe, livable, and affordable. I want to launch a public and private partnership for affordable housing, leveraging underused land. I want to streamline permits to encourage new housing while prioritizing mixed income developments, not just the luxury builds strongly speak of, and support adaptive reuse projects such as old buildings, office apartments, and community hubs, and create initiatives for incentives for landlords who keep rent affordable and maintain quality standards.
I was talking to a home builder the other day who was over in Omaha. I asked him, what's your definition of affordable housing? And he says, definition is what you can afford, what a family can afford. And that really struck me, because when we think of affordable housing, we think of $150,000 homes. Those are gone. Staff from Habitat Omaha's pre-COVID, they were building houses at $140,000. Seems pretty reasonable. Post-COVID, that's $280,000 to build. And those houses are pretty modest, 2 bed, 2 bath. There's other models you can look at. In speaking with other developers, they have a modular home concept. They run $180,000, but they have to come and do infrastructure and utility. They pass that cost on to the consumer. So those are some of the big issues. I'm looking more at dynamic housing. We have to have housing for everybody. We have to have our senior living. So when our seniors transition out of their traditional home, then those younger people can look into buying their first homes. We've got to explore any and every option. We have a good team of city staff right now, and they have to have their fingers on the pulse of where to get the funding. Affordable housing comes from the government subsidies, the HUD programs, and grants. Builders can't do it alone. They're shying away from affordable homes. They're building those East End $500,000 homes because that's where their money is. So you have to be creative. We can partner with Habitat and a CV, and we can fill out our corners of the city. We can fill out our surplus lots and work with them. We can work with the 712 initiative for the buildings that were spoken about. We have options. We just have to sit down at the table with a think tank of builders, real estate agents, people in the construction field, and come up with a strategic plan on what we can do with what we have and make it work for us. Because you can't paint this with a broad brush. Again, affordable is what you can afford, and we have to explore everything. So my term is always going to be dynamic housing. That's housing for everybody. Thank you.
So like Chris said, affordable housing is what can afford. I'm actually focused on attainable housing. And that means breaking down the barriers that we have in our city right now. I've spoken to multiple developers that say that there are challenges in our community when it comes to coming in and building different projects on the residential side. So I actually have a 5-point plan that I would work with the different, take to the city council and revise some of our policies. One would be to allow single housing conversions into duplexes or triplexes by right. Right now they have to go through the planning commission, they have to have the different plans, then they come to city council and get approved. Simplifying that zoning code allows the homeowners to create additional housing within existing structures without without the approvals, and it speeds up that process. Second would be allow backyard cottages or ADUs. Right now, we do have an aging population in our community, and it is a common practice around the country that a mother-in-law cottage or an in-law suite you could put in your backyard. That allows people to then take care of their aging family members without having the cost of putting somebody into a retirement home or facility. It also, on the other side, allows young people to have independence, have that first-time home buyership. And I'm almost out of time, so I'm going to quickly point my other 3 points. Would be legalizing starter homes in all residential areas. So again, removing zoning restrictions that limit construction for smaller than 800 square feet, and eliminating the minimum lot size requirements in existing neighborhoods, and then again, streamlining those processes. Creating a clear, efficient process for approval for conversions, cottages, and starter homes within 24 hours. And we need to look at all types of. Thank you.
Post the Great Recession of 2007, there's been a nationwide housing shortage. They estimate between 4 and 7 million nationwide. I feel like we were on top of that when we got ARPA money. Many communities took that money and bought new vehicles, gave bonuses to city employees. We put that money aside and we invested it in housing. We are creating the East Mayoral subdivision with ARPA money. That should put somewhere between 1,100 and 1,400 new housing units on the books. We took other ARPA money, combined it with grant money from the Iowa West Foundation and federal funds, and currently we have 700 housing units under construction with another 1,400 that have been approved by the city council. Is that enough? It's not. I don't know that we ever catch up. We have 1.6% rental vacancy. We have 0.6% owner-occupied vacancy. The data says that if you have less than 8%, and remember, we've got 1.7, if you have less than 8%, it contributes to homelessness. And so we need to create housing. We need to look at areas for housing. Council Bluffs is restricted geographically. We can't go across the river, can't go to the north because of the elevation. And frankly, it's pretty tough going east because you have to get lift stations to move sewage up and down the hills. And so we came forward with a proposal that we thought made sense. Someone asked the other day how I would vote. The mayor does not get vote. The mayor shows a vision, brings it to the city council, and the city council votes. But I think that could have helped everybody's property taxes, could have increased housing inventory. Thank you.
All right, so we'll start with Jeremy this time. What would you do to address homelessness that isn't already being done?
Key components are going to be a coordinated outreach team. We've got a partner with nonprofits, shelters, and county services to create a rapid response outreach team. This team will include city staff, law enforcement, and service providers in the areas of housing, addiction recovery, and mental health. We'll have a notice and compliance system. We'll provide a 48-hour notice before clearing encampments deemed unsafe or unsanitary. During the notice period, outreach teams will engage directly with the individuals, offering shelter, treatment referrals, and housing options. We'll expand the hours and access also. We'll extend outreach availability to evenings and weekends when encampments are most active. Create a dedicated hotline for citizens to report encampment or unsafe conditions. And then accountability and safety measures. We're going to partner with the fire, police, and public works to assess environmental health and safety risk in the encampments. If individuals refuse service, continue to pose risk, the city will escalate enforcement actions fairly and consistently. And as far as housing and the support pipeline, we want to secure temporary housing partnership with local landlords, churches, and nonprofits, offer low barrier shelters options for immediate needs while connecting long-term cases to treatment or job programs. If a person is determined to be intoxicated, a 24-hour hold will be placed on the person, and later on maybe a 48-hour mental health assessment. And it's extremely dangerous to have a large number of people who are unidentified without legal residence in our community, pose a menace to our society. So we're going to take care of that. Again, compassion for people, but accountability for safety and real solutions for our neighborhood.
You know, compassion can only go so far. I'm a compassionate person. I want to see people get the help they need, and I want them to give back to the communities in which they came from. We're not going to solve homelessness, but it's an all-time high in this community. We can combat it, but we've got to start holding people accountable. We have great nonprofits. There's gaps in the system. There's a huge pool of money there. We've got to work with them. But accountability starts with our safety and security. Public safety is being drained down to the shelter. I met with the chief of police. He's got a great vision for security. We share the same vision. We had an aha moment together, like, yes, that's what I want. I went to Des Moines and toured that facility, and they set the standard. There's money to do it. But accountability has to come from the nonprofits and the shelter. It should not be on the public safety officials of this city to handle the homeless population. The chief of police put in a HOP program, and in that short amount of time, that program has done volumes of great work down there. I've been with those officers. It is a fantastic program. Our job as a city is to find a way we can get the resources to our programs and do the real work. They are the champions out there right now. They are the gold standard. We can be compassionate to our homeless population, but who's being compassionate to our taxpayers? We go down to West End and talk to them. They are fed up. They are fed up. Property taxes are at an all-time high. But if we don't do something now, we are at a tipping point there, Council Nelson. So accountability is going to be the big thing. I sat on the community homeless task force years ago, and we just sat there and we shared horror stories. We did nothing. It's a big waste of time. Some of you in this room went there. There's a new group that meets with purpose and intent. But if you cannot hold the shelter and some of the nonprofits to a higher standard because they are supposed to be providing services, we will fall short. Because again, it's the city's responsibility for public safety, but our public safety cannot spend its time down there. Thank you.
So me, my mom, and my brother knocked over 3,000 doors, and homelessness is obviously the #1 priority that we've heard from everybody in this community. I differ from Chris in that I do believe that we need to be compassionate. The Bible teaches us that, and I believe in that. But I also understand the frustration from everybody in this community. I actually have a 27-point plan that I'll be putting on my Facebook page, Shoot Act for Iowa, later today. Obviously, in 2 minutes, I'm not going to get through all 27 points, so don't worry. I won't try to cover them. But we actually, as a city, need to step up. We cannot rely on our different partners and then chastise them when we're not meeting their standards. So to address this, we need compassion and we need resources. This means we need to increase our staffing and we need to ensure our budget is there. We do need to increase our HOT program. It's an amazing program that Chief Davis brought and a great vision, and we need to double or triple that. We also need an outpost for the police department over on the West End, so that way they're not spending times going back and forth in their ATVs that they utilize every single day. We can utilize the parking garage that's over on the river and cage that off and house those there, so that way they can report correctly there and get to work right away. We also need to look at a mix of short-term and long-term fixes. We need to invest again in the attainable housing, the mental health, and addiction services. I've met with Brandy Waller with New Visions multiple times, but I do have actual goals measurables that we would be meeting on every 6 months and reporting back to the city council. That would be stabilizing the homelessness problem, addressing mental health and issues, identifying shelters with access with basic needs like food, shelters, showers, and then integrating those people back and bringing our wraparound services into that community as well.
Homelessness is a national tragedy. Lives without focus, without purpose, and I am concerned when I see our streets and see new faces all the time. Years ago, you used to know the 2 or 3 homeless people around town, but it's a different face every day. And so we need to work to address homelessness, and we talked about the HOP program and our work with Jenny Edmondson Hospital's mental health to try and help those people who are ready to be helped. But it is a tough situation. The federal government has thrown their hands up. The state of Iowa has thrown their hands up. Mental health beds in the state of Iowa, state-sponsored mental health beds, 96 for the entire state of Iowa. Many of these have co-occurring ailments, mental health, and drug addiction. And the taxpayer of Council Bluffs shouldn't be saddled solely with the cost of treatment, but the aesthetics are bad. People don't like the look of it. Crime is not at an all-time high. Crime is down since 2001, which was in the COVID years when crime was down anyhow. The calls for assistance are down 12%. Crimes against properties down 27%. Now, as the chief points out, if you don't feel safe, that doesn't mean a lot if you say the percentages are down. But in fact, crime is not out of control. And we'll continue to work. We'll continue to work with our partners. We have the HOP program embeds itself in the homeless community and learns about the community and how we can help them and help the neighbors. So,
Well, when it comes to the housing, I see that tied into the affordable housing issue as well. I've met way too many people who are basically being priced out of their homes right now. People often forget that when your home values go up, your property taxes go up with it. And when somebody's house is $150,000 one year, and then the next tax year it's $250,000, those people are winding up on the streets. Those people are winding up living in their vans out by Lake Manawa, and that's why it's kind of, I don't know the right word for it, but I mean, they go hand in hand, homelessness and the affordable housing situation. Homelessness is a multifaceted problem, so one blanket solution isn't going to solve the problem. We need multiple sources of resources, excuse me for saying the word salad there, but yeah, the affordable housing directly ties into the homeless issue, and we need to come up with multiple solutions for the homeless issue. Some of these people are homeless because, like I said, they were priced out of their homes. Some of them are homeless because they've been doing drugs for so many years that they simply don't have the capacity to take care of themselves anymore. And those are the kind of people that we need to get social services involved with. You know, I mean, these people need to be in-house somewhere they're safe, somewhere that they can get treatment. Another important issue that we need to keep in mind is that some of these homeless people we see on Council Bluffs streets are coming from Omaha. And so when it comes to solving the homeless crisis, we need to work with Omaha on solutions that not only help Council Bluffs, but help Omaha too. The homeless issue is one of those issues that we need to collaborate on both sides of the river here in order to solve the problem. Thank you.
All right, Chris, you're up. Council Bluffs is one of 2 cities in Iowa that uses the strong mayor form of government. where the mayor is the chief executive of the city instead of a professional city manager. Do you think this is beneficial for Council Bluffs and why?
You know, this day and age, you have to make changes. I still think it's beneficial for Council Bluffs because in the strong mayor form, it's who you surround yourself with. You surround yourself with good people and good staff, and lead effectively, you can have great results. Also, it stems from communication with your city council. You can't get anything done if you don't have a strong, cooperative council that's willing to work with you, that's willing to listen to you. Because at the end of the day, the council does make the vote. But having a strong mayor allows the opportunity to go across the street and rebuild communication with the county. They're known in the city. Typically, they grew up in the city. They're from Council Bluffs. That's the face our citizens want to see. We can hire city managers from all over the country that would probably come in and do a fantastic job, but they're just a face. They don't have the story. They don't have the experience. They don't know people on their block. So I do believe in a strong mayor form of government. It can be tweaked a little bit over the years, but it comes back to the people you surround yourself with. You build a good team and a good council, work with your community. That form of government can stay, it can be strong, and it can make your community thrive. So, yeah, I think it's still a great system. I'd like to see some other communities go back to it because you have to do it together. So the word strong mayor, I think, is a misnomer. It takes everybody, but it takes that leader, that everybody knows the familiar face.
I do believe in the strong mayor form of government, especially here in Council Bluffs. We have 68,000 people roughly in the community. And so as our community grows and we reach 1 million or a couple 100,000, we might want to take a look at that again. But I think it provides, having a strong mayor form, provides the mayor the opportunity to actually meet with the citizens and decide how we're going to move forward. I personally enjoy meeting with people. I attend the whole town halls, inviting people to come in, just not a select few of people, but actually the entire community to put input into the vision. I have pledged that if the council decides that they want to move forward, we could actually put the Dodge Park sale on the ballot as well as the streetcar onto the ballot and let people decide. And that's the great thing about the strong form mayor system is that the people get to decide who they want to represent them. And that's why I'm in strong support of that for our community.
So the city of Council Bluffs is a big business. Our annual expenditures are just shy of $160 million. We have over 500 employees. We have 4 unions. We also run a garbage business, and we run a sewer business. I am contrary to the strong mayor form of government. 4 years ago, I warned the citizens of Council Bluffs, you are electing somebody in a popular vote to run the city of Council Bluffs who may or may not have the skill set to do it. And Iowa does not have recall. And so for 4 years, that person could become the mayor and could destroy the city of Council Bluffs with no recourse to the voters. And so every other city, other than Waterloo, Iowa, has a city manager form of government. And I think that probably speaks volumes. We should consider changing the city's charter, which is what it would take, to go back to a city manager form of government. If the city manager fails, the council can fire him, bring in a new city manager. But again, you elect a mayor that doesn't know how to do the job, that's learning on the job for 4 years with no recourse to make a change.
We'll touch a little bit on what Matt Walsh just said. The biggest difference between a strong mayor form of government and the regular form of government is that strong mayor government doesn't have a city plan. The mayor is responsible for coming up with plans to develop our city. And it's one of the few things that I actually agree with Matt Walsh on. When you have somebody in office who doesn't know anything about construction, why do you want them in charge of developing your city? We've already seen for the past 12 years where somebody with no experience in construction has got worse. We now have a housing crisis. Our population isn't growing nearly as fast as Omaha or any of the other surrounding communities. And so when it comes to, do we need a strong mayor form of government here in Council Bluffs? It kind of depends. I mean, how much experience does the candidate for mayor actually have? I've lived my whole life in construction. I studied civil engineering. I studied architecture. I think that my plans are way better than the plans that are currently on the table because, like I said, I do have that experience. I don't need to, hire a consultant to tell me, how to build a house. We don't necessarily need a city manager per se, as long as the experience in the mayor's office is there. But it's something that we can look into because, like Matt Walsh was saying, we could have a candidate that doesn't know anything about how to build a city, and well, then you wind up with housing crisis and that sort of thing. So it's something that we can explore, but I think it's more up to a public vote as to whether or not we should actually transform our form of government from strong mayor to a city plan. Thank you.
Strong mayor and council bluffs means having a leader who's not only the face of the city, but also the driving force behind progress. The role requires someone who can set a clear vision, make tough decisions, and hold themselves accountable while ensuring every department works efficiently for the people. It's about being visible, accessible, and decisive, whether tackling crime, expanding housing opportunities, improving education, partnerships, or strengthening infrastructure. Strong mayor listens to residents, acts on their concerns, isn't afraid to challenge the status quo and move council plus forward. If I failed, it's because I failed to listen to the citizens and to the city council. Thank you.
All right, Jill, if you had to cut 10% from the city's budget immediately, where do you look first? What factors go into that decision?
So I already said that in my first 90 days, I would go in and audit every single department. Look for efficiencies, look for synergies, and start from there. So I do plan on cutting the budget immediately, and I think in previous years, we have not had a mayor as well as a chief of staff. I plan on eliminating that position with the approval of the city council and their input. But I do believe that with the strong mayor form of government, we do not need both. Our previous mayor was the mayor for a very long time and did not have a chief of staff. And I believe firmly in that. I would also, like I said, look for the synergies. I would audit in different departments to see, do we actually need a, how can we utilize our department heads and combine different departments or different teams to ensure that we're not calling one department to get an answer and then going over to a different department to get another. So in the planning department, I think that we could streamline some services there. And I would really just look and utilize the 90-day audit that I'm going to be doing to make further cuts.
So the city collects $62 million in taxpayer revenue. $41 million of that goes to public safety, police and fire. I don't know that anybody in the room would want us to cut those things, but I would tell you that we are an ISO 1 rated fire department, which means we're one of only 388 rated fire departments. That reduces your property and casualty insurance by a significant amount of money. And the fact that crime is down helps your property and casualty insurance as well. So there's about 21 million left to cut of the 62 million. That's the library, that's the parks, that's the city administration. Those things get funded with taxpayer dollars. We can close parks, we can stop mowing. I prefer, as an alternative, is to grow the property tax base. The broader the property tax base, the more people contributing to property taxes, we can lower the overall property taxes that each individual has to pay. We are well on our way to doing that by the housing we're creating. We'll look for other opportunities to create housing. I think we'll be making an announcement here in a couple weeks about a huge economic development project. We've got several more that are going to come to fruition here in the not too distant future. Both commercially and residentially, Council Bluffs is in a time like it's never seen before. And that will broaden the tax base. That should help the taxpayer. And those are the things you need to do. You can raise property taxes, you can cut services, or you can broaden the property tax base and continue getting good quality services.
When it comes to cutting the city budget by 10%, there's a couple things that we can do. First of all, we can hit the pause button on all these developments that nobody wants. Every time I hear a solution as to how we can save the city some money, it always involves spending more of your money, which is kind of counterproductive in my opinion. There are some positions in our federal government, or excuse me, our city government here that they could be. I agree with Jill Shudak when she says that we don't really need a city manager. We have a strong form of government here in Council Bluffs, and that will save taxpayers roughly, I think, 120 grand a year. There's also other positions like this. They're more public relations positions that are coming from the police department. These park officers, for example. I don't really see the effect that they're having on our community when they're not out there arresting people. They're just out there, basically putting a good face on the police department. The police department is the #1 expense for our city government. And there's a couple things that we can do to cut costs while maintaining our current level of public safety. And one of the things that I want to throw out there for everybody to think about is to break the traffic unit from the police department off into its own separate entity called the Council Bluffs Transit Authority. Vehicle maintenance is one of the biggest expenses for our police department, and if we separate the traffic unit from the police department, that frees up money so our police can, buy high-tech equipment like surveillance drones and that sort of thing without being burdened with the vehicle maintenance costs of the traffic. Not only that, but we have a transit authority. We can also expand that into, police on bikes, police in parks, police on boats. We can put transit authority pretty much anywhere that has to do with transportation and that sort of thing. So, there's some areas that I think we need to seriously.
Yes, Cheryl, we're at your time.
Thank you.
I'm going to echo some of what Jill said and what Mr. Walsh said as well. I think after performing or some streamlining some audits, we have to look at how they increase 10% of our income. So whether that be in housing, entertainment, hotel tax, we just got to find a way to bring in new revenues.
I think we could do better with the budget. While on council, I have approved a lot of those projects, and we'll be approving a lot of those projects in their budget. Because we do have to grow our tax base, but I'm not interested in layoffs. When you build a budget out, you task your department heads and your senior leadership team building their budget and presenting to you. You're going to have those tough conversations where we cut. We all waste money in every position you've ever worked. You can find where money gets wasted. We've got great people that we don't need to lose that know what to do. You've got to have them work for you and give your strategic plan in place. How can I cut a small percent of the budget? Each department can cut from the little wasteful things that we do on a day-to-day basis. That creates your pool of money. The biggest thing is growing the tax base. And how do you grow the tax base? You have to say we're open for business, we're open for development. Mayor Walsh is correct in saying that we're poised and we're ready to go. We just got to be ready for it. But it'll come back to going through, audits been thrown out there, but first you put on the department has been building out the budget. Where are we wasting that money? But again, we have too many good people that work for the city and not interested in layoffs to get there. That's just not the way to do business. But we can do better, but the tax base is the number one thing. Thank you.
Matt, this is a hypothetical. You get a call at 2 a.m. and something bad and unexpected has happened. For example, an officer involved shooting, a fire destroys a major employer, or a similar situation that calls for public leadership. What information do you need right away, and what is your role as a mayor in responding to a crisis?
Having done this job for 12 years, that's a pretty common occurrence. That when weather's bad, I worry about people. When floods are impending, I worry about people. Lay awake at night, get there early. The mayor's role is the public information officer of the city. I've regularly met with the press and given them information. In some cases, if it's a law enforcement issue, I may take a step back and have the police chief be the public information officer. He knows more about it, and so I don't need to have him trip over my feet to do that. But we work in a concerted effort to not only get accurate information out, but to make sure that information gets to the people that need to have it to them. It's a regular occurrence. I can't stress how often something happens and you just go, I can't believe that we're faced with this issue. So I don't know, I'm rambling and I apologize for that.
When it comes to these sorts of situations developing here in Council Bluffs, the first thing you have to do is assess the situation. What happened? Is anybody hurt? Is somebody solving the problem? First thing you have to do is assess the situation. And as mayor, we shouldn't be divvying up this responsibility to inform the public and to other people. We're the face of the city. There's a problem going on in the city. The mayor needs to be out there in front of the cameras telling everybody what's going on. Sometimes that's going to involve, telling the general public things that they don't want to hear. But you have to have the intestinal fortitude to do that. And when it comes to solving problems spur of the moment like that, I think it's a reason that creativity is an important quality of the city. You need to be adaptable. You need to be able to think on your feet. And if you're just, going through the motions, that's keeps people ill-informed and prolongs the situation or the crisis, whatever problem may be. But yeah, if something happens here, the first thing you do is don't panic. Assess the situation. Get first responders there if they're needed, and then you inform the public. Let them know exactly what's going on. You don't need to use colorful words and smiles a lot and that sort of thing. You just need to give them the basic information. Let them know what's going on, what you're going to do about it. You're the face of the city, and as mayor, you should be the one telling everybody, disseminating the information. Thank you.
In a crisis, the mayor and council Bluffs must act immediately, providing clear communication, decisive leadership, and visible presence. My first priority will be ensuring public safety by coordinating with emergency services and activating all available resources. At the same time, I will keep residents informed with accurate, timely updates to reduce confusion and fear. The crisis demands calm, decisive action, Mr. Bertram said assessing the situation, and by working side by side with first responders, city staff, and community partners, we can restore order quickly, protect lives, and begin recovery, and strengthen ourselves in unity.
For 13 years, I was part of the leadership team on the Lakeland campus, so that puts you on the crisis team. We were very close to the homeless shelter, but there were a lot of things that went on. Alarms in the middle of the night, violent crimes, different events. So those calls came to me at all hours of the night, and my wife can attest with young kids. I would typically get up and go. But the first thing you have to do before you rush in, you have to find out what the emergency is, what the crisis, who's your top official, whether it's the chief of police, the fire chief, the department head. Who's closest to it, who knows it the best, who can problem solve. You coordinate with them, you work through it, but you have to be poised and calm under pressure. It is important to the city to get out on an accurate message first. We all know the social media outlets that get out first, whether it's true or not. We've got to report accurately, gather the facts, stay calm. You're the face, but you lean on your team that is the closest to the emergency. You want to be transparent with the city as much as you can, depending on the situation. But it's always good to be accountable and accurate in the messaging you put. But again, I'll reiterate it, always lean on your experts. They're going to present the facts, and then we get it out to the public. You must stay calm, you must think methodically, and then you solve the situation. Thank you.
I agree with everybody as we spoke today. First, you need to find out who is involved, what was the actual incident, has family been notified, get the heads of the different departments involved together, have one voice going out to the community and speaking, utilizing not only our local media, newspaper, the TV stations, but also the city's online platforms as well, and get to the scene as quickly as possible. Putting the trust in the department heads as their teams are the ones that are working through the situation, and they should be providing you the updates. Generally, it's not going to be the mayor making the call, it's going to be the chief of police or the chief of the fire department or the captain that's on duty that's making those calls. Whoever's actively running the scenes, and then they're providing that information up. If there's a decision that needs to be made, they might need to confer with their captains, but the mayor is really going to be there to get the correct information and to utilize our online platforms and our media platforms to get one voice out and communicate that information out correctly.
Projects that help the overall community, such as building a new apartment complex, are sometimes opposed by immediate neighbors. How do you address concerns with people saying, not in my backyard?
Well, the first thing you want to do is build these sorts of developments in the right places. Nobody I talked to wants a 5-story apartment complex on the east side of Lake Panama. Not a single person said, yes, we need apartments out here at Lake Panama. Not a single person said that. And so that's why when we're developing the city, we need to develop it in a way that the community agrees with. We shouldn't have to flood the city council chamber every time the city wants to do something that the rest of us don't like. We saw this with the meetings on Broadway issue. We saw this with the Dodge Park issue. And if people of Council Bluffs are telling you, do not build this, don't build it. It's their tax money you're spending in the first place. And like I said, we shouldn't have to flood the city council chamber just to get our city government to listen to us. It's the job of the mayor and the city council to listen to you. You are the boss, not us, not them. You are the boss, and if we're not doing what you tell us to do, then we're messing up. And that's, I can't make it any more simpler than that.
I agree with Mr. Bergstrom as far as transparency and letting the people know what's going to be happening in their backyard. New developments are planned in the neighborhoods important to residents in Council Bluffs. Our are notified early, clearly, and respectfully. As mayor, I would ensure neighbors are given timely updates through direct mail, community meetings, and online platforms as they feel informed, not blindsided. Transparency, build trust by inviting feedback and addressing concerns up front. We can create developments that not only grow our city, but also strengthen the sense of community and respect for people who already call their neighborhood home.
In the current field I'm in, I work in the private energy sector, and I learned this term in Wisconsin. They're called NIMBYs, not my backyard. I deal with that every day. We don't want your transmission lines. We don't want your collection lines. We don't want solar. We don't want wind. We don't want change. Now, in 4 years on city council, I've learned the hard way. I voted some ways in the past that may have not been the best for the city. And you have to educate yourself. In my travels, I've seen these issues developments. They're everywhere. They're from Omaha to Wilmington to Oshkosh to Green Bay. But it's getting out there and seeing how the model has changed. And that has changed me as a person. It's changed my perception and how I vote. But it comes down, you have to communicate with those residents that are affected. You go to them. You don't let them come to you. We send mailers out if you're in a certain amount of footage to a development. But it goes farther when you go to the people. You say, hey, this is what we're proposing, this is what it's going to look like, this is what we want to do for you, get your thoughts. But as a whole, we have to vote on council what's best for the community as a whole. And that's the job of the city development department, the mayor working with the council, but it's to be transparent and educate the citizens that you have to give them input. They need to know that, yes, my voice was heard, yes, I'm opposed to it, but let's see what it is, and you keep educating. You can't just ram it down their throats. I mean, I see it day in and day out when I'm talking to farmers with a 150-year-old farm. It's hard to change that. But I found you keep talking, you keep educating, you keep building that relationship, and you keep showing them the why. That's one thing we need to do better as a city, the why. Why are we doing it? What's it going to do for Council Bluffs as a whole? So that's how you combat the not my backyard mentality. Not everything's going to work, but if we stop presenting ideas and we start shooting them down, and the tax base we keep talking about, that's what happens. There's no change. Thank you.
You have demonstrated this several times. The fact that I enjoy and I invite people to participate in town hall settings. It is getting people to come together, having one set of facts, reviewing the information, getting the input, reaching out to the neighbors, addressing concerns, and then listening to our community. I also agree with Chris, it's about education. Sometimes there are going to be projects that people are against that are the best for our community, but I think with strong planning of the city and understanding the different either industrial projects or residential projects that need to go in, the challenges of our topography, where we can build, where we can't build, I think that's really important. But it is about getting people involved. We saw that this spring with the potential sale and reclassifying the land. It was actually a vote that we voted on. And having people come out and voice their opinions. And I respect those opinions. And we'll look forward to more community input sessions like I hosted this spring.
The average age of a home buyer today is 34 years old. If we don't have housing for those under 35, they end up going to Omaha. And once they go to Omaha, they stay in Omaha. Our population aging is skewed. We have narrow bands of childbearing adults, and we have narrow bands of children. Where we have a large group of people is people my age, and that is not a healthy scenario for the future of Council Bluffs. Multifamily housing, I've been through multiple approvals. The same issues come up. Will it create more crime? Will it create more traffic? A common one is light pollution. They like their parking lot will that overflow into my bedroom window at night and keep me awake? I would tell you that of the multiple ones where neighbors complained that got approved, I can't think of one that came back afterwards and said that their concerns were validated. I think the city does a great job. There are defined processes on how it goes. It starts with a long-range comprehensive plan that the council just approved to go out. And then the planning and zoning prohibits people from building next to a residential property unless the zoning gets changed. If the zoning is going to be changed, the adjacent property owners need to be notified so that they're aware that there's a plan to do that, so they can come forward and speak to the representatives. It's a representative government. It's not a everybody gets the vote kind of government. If the city spends more than $900,000 on a non-essential corporate purpose use, the citizens vote. Otherwise, you elect somebody to vote for the city. Every issue you don't have everybody gets to vote. That just isn't how government works.
We've got time for one more question and then we'll move into final remarks. Jeremy? Is there any part of town you do not think would be fit for a young family with a child to live? If there is, what needs to happen to change that? And if there is not, why is there a perception of certain bad parts?
I think Council Bluffs is a great city to raise your children in, no matter which direction you choose to do that in. I grew up in the south end part of town, which traditionally was a bad rep. I know a lot of great kids that came out of that neighborhood. I'm friends with kids on the west end, kids on the east end, kids out north, kids in Crescent, Honey Creek. We all come together. We make things work around here. 90% of everything in Council Bluffs is taken care of. Most things are happening in a 10% window. We correct that 10% window, everything here will be great.
That's a tough question because that's a perception question. I agree. I don't think there's a bad part of town to live in. I've lived in all areas of this community. I think there's challenging parts. And the greatest thing of those challenging parts is we have services that go to those kids. We get those kids something to do after school, whether it's Council Bluffs, Kids and Company, Boys and Girls Club. There's many things that go down there. It's about fostering the youth and keeping them safe in those neighborhoods. And it comes down to great citizens taking pride in their neighborhood, policing their neighborhood, and the neighborhood watch model. You go to the neighborhoods that you see on the west end that are thriving, they have good people that keep in orderly fashion. But I believe anywhere in this community is a great, safe place to live. But it just comes down to finding the small parts that maybe need a little pick-me-up. And the pick-me-up comes in the youth. It will always come in the youth. Adults, we can thrive. We can fend for ourselves. So in those areas that you see that are blighted, what we can do too is we can drop a new house in. We refresh parks in those areas, and that goes a long way. Little things in those pockets that some people say they're not safe, we shouldn't live there. Those little things mean the world to those people. So I would live anywhere in this community, but I would urge you as citizens, those places that you may see deemed unfit to live, go down there, walk a mile in their shoes, and ask how you can help. That's what makes Council Bluffs great.
I agree with Jeremy and Chris. There's not a place in the city that I would not live. I live off of North Broadway. I live in a 1,000 square foot starter home that I purchased 10 years ago. We have a great community. Our neighborhood gets together and does cookouts or watches movies in the front yard. I mentioned earlier, me and my family, we've knocked 3,000 doors in this community, a lot on the west end. The west end gets a bad rap, I think, because people on the east end don't necessarily spend a lot of time over there. And if they just go walk the communities and talk to people, I was out yesterday doing a little bit of a cleanup, and 3 people walked by and I just said, "Hi, how are you? How today. They were a little shocked that somebody actually stopped to speak to them or acknowledge them. But they're great communities. People take pride in their houses all over. There are a couple places that I think the city's working on. For example, the old Battery Park. Right now, or previous to this year, I wouldn't recommend living there. But the city's gone in and cleaned that up, so as we build there, we'll be good. Or maybe right next to an industrial, I wouldn't put so much residential there. But as far as established communities or residential zoned areas, there's not a place I wouldn't live, and I'm happy to call North Broadway.
I've already told you that crime is down, and it's not a precipitous dip in a single year. It's down over the last 4 years, each and every year. The community's safe. That any large community has a certain amount of crime. I know there's a perception with the homeless population that the aesthetics bother people. They feel uncomfortable because the person they're encountering is not somebody they're familiar with. We'll continue to work on that homeless problem. But all these things that we do, we have to do with consideration of the taxpayer. You know, you can talk about instituting programs that cost hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, but I'm not sure the taxpayer wants to bear that cost. And so we do what we can with what we have, always being cognizant of the pocketbooks of the taxpayer. You people pay $68.95 city taxes per $100,000 of property valuation. $68.95. What are you paying for your cell phone? What are you paying for your internet connection? What are you getting for $68.95 per $100,000? So if you're in the $200,000 home, double that. I'm talking city taxes, so you got to add in your school district taxes and your county taxes. But I think you get a pretty good bargain for it. And like I say, with great law enforcement, you save money on your property and casualty insurance. And my property and casualty insurance is as much as my mortgage payment, so a big savings in that area is significant. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, something that people don't know about me is I live in one of those parts of town that you don't want to raise kids. And one of the reasons you don't want to live there is because it's called the Triangle of Death, right in the middle of town. At least once a day, the Union Pacific Railroad runs 2 trains out of the same rail yard, and they converge right there underneath the viaduct. There's no way in or out of that neighborhood for the police, fire trucks, ambulances. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend living in my neighborhood. And since nobody has brought this up yet, the reason that I want to take the Union Pacific Railroad to court is because they're endangering people's lives. Hauling things like sodium hydroxide, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, 20 feet away from where people live. So yeah, you don't want to live down there. But when we take the Union Pacific Railroad to court, I want to accomplish 3 things. 1, move their rail yard from its current location out of Council Bluffs city limits because we can't accommodate trains that are 2 miles long. Second thing they need to do is they need to build elevated tracks through town. That way taxpayers aren't spending millions of dollars building viaducts and overpasses just so we can get to the hospital. And the third thing they need to do is they need to pay a restitution to not only the city of Council Bluffs, but the private property owners for all the damage that they've done, not only to our infrastructure and our growth and prosperity, but to our quality of life here in Council Bluffs. Thank you.
Chris, you can kick off the final remarks.
Well, these are the final remarks, I guess. And, well, the reason you vote for Chris Peterson for mayor, it's simple. I'm a common sense individual. I always put people over politics. My vision for the mayor's office is a citizen and employee-driven administration. I know how to lead, I know how to effectively communicate, I know how to actively listen. I am solution-oriented. So I'm asking you to turn the page with me and write the next chapter in Council Bluffs' great history. But when you leave today, ask yourself one question: are we better off today than we were 30 years ago? And that'll give you your answer on why you should vote Chris Peterson for mayor. I urge you and I ask you on October 7th, vote for me for mayor for Council Bluffs, Iowa. God bless.
Thank you everybody for the match today and participating and listening intently. Again, thank you to the Mayoral and to the Chamber for hosting this event. My instincts are to fight, and that has been my whole entire life. I ran for the Council Board of Education, where I had the most votes in my race that night, and for City Council, I had the most votes in that one as well. My resilience though goes deeper than politics. I was born with severe double feet. I endured years of surgery and limited mobility, and I couldn't play sports, but I found other ways to be a part of the team, whether that was being a team manager, a volunteer, someone who just showed up to support. And those challenges became the fuel for my life of service and strength. Professionally, I've managed multi-million-dollar portfolios. I bring substantial financial experience of every role I've taken on and managed team of direct reports for over 15 years. And additionally, I participate in community activities, including the Council Bluffs Community Schools Review Policy for 6 years, and also helping to plan the New Visions Christmas event. In every chapter of my life, my focus has been clear. Listen deeply, lift others, work tirelessly to make our community better. I'm the right choice for the Mayor of Council Bluffs because I bring a strong commitment to service, proven experience, and genuine dedication to representing the community's needs with integrity and vision. I ask you to vote Shudak for mayor on October 7th. Thank you.
Well, Chris mentioned, are you better 30 years? Are you better today than you were 30 years ago? I've been here 30 years. And if you remember Council Bluffs 30 years ago, I defy you to say that it's worse today than it was 30 years ago. It is the job of mayor of the city of Council Bluffs, as we've established earlier, is a business management position. It's not the ribbon cutting, groundbreaking, proclamation reading job that almost every other mayor in Iowa has. You manage a budget that's north of 200 million and expenditures of 160 million. And it is complex, it is difficult, it is time consuming, and it takes immense commitment on the part of the mayor of Council Bluffs. Chris mentioned that he loves coaching football. That those days are over if you become the mayor, because you just don't have time to do that stuff anymore. It's all consuming. You dedicate your entire life. I think we've done well. I think we can do better. I want to do better. I want to help keep improving your lives. Taxes aren't up. It used to be $1,018 annually per 100,000 for property taxes. Today it's $836 annually. So it's better. It's getting better. We'll make it better. Thank you.
Can I point out the fact that we have half of our city government sitting on this stage right now? If you don't like the way that things are going here in Council Bluffs, Iowa, we have 3 people representing our city government right here today. And maybe you should get with them and ask them about these problems that they're say that they want to solve. But I mean, they're already in a position to solve these problems. I would ask them why they aren't doing it. The reason I'm running for mayor is because the city is going in the wrong direction. Nobody I've talked to is happy with just apartments and just $1 million. Nobody I've talked to wants Omaha apartments in Dodge Park. Nobody I've talked to once a 5-story apartment complex out near Lake Mayoral. And once again, nobody's bringing up the problem of the Union Pacific Railroad. We've had 2 town hall meetings about the Union Pacific Railroad, and it wasn't mentioned once here today by anybody that organized this. Our city is never going to be the Council Bluffs it was intended to be as long as we continue to ignore this problem of the Union Pacific Railroad. They're obstructing our growth and prosperity. They're putting an undue burden on taxpayers by having to build viaducts and fix infrastructure. The best thing that can ever happen to Council Bluffs is if the Union Pacific Railroad moves the rail yards out of Council Bluffs, and we start putting Council Bluffs first when we do things around here. All right? We can develop our city in a way that everybody enjoys, that everybody agrees with, and that's why I'm running for mayor.
Leave it to me to be last but not least. First, I want to thank you guys all for being here today. I've lived in Council Bluffs nearly my whole life, and like you, I want a city that's safe, affordable, and advancing in the right direction. And more of the same isn't working, and awards don't create safer communities, better paying jobs, or improve the housing market. Our focus is Mayoral be clear, protect our neighborhoods, create affordable housing, prepare our kids for the real world, and rebuild the President City Hall while addressing homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you again to the candidates for your participation today. Thank you all for being here. I want to invite Crystal Girdle back up for a few final comments.
Please join me again in thanking the candidates for coming out today. I want everyone to know that the Chamber stands ready to serve alongside all of our elected officials to help strengthen the community. I believe we share a mission with the city of Council Bluffs, and we are ready to get to work with all of you. I'd also like your help in thanking Rachel George and the Mayoral to our sponsor, Bank Southwest Iowa, and the school district for hosting us today in this beautiful auditorium. And thank you all for attending today and getting informed before you exercise your right to elect our future leaders. Just a couple of announcements. We have, as I mentioned before, a candidate voter guide available on our website, councilbluffsiowa.com. Next Saturday, October 4th, we are hosting a city council forum, similar format today with all of the city council candidates. Same location, same time. So right in this auditorium, next Saturday at 9 o'clock. After the primary election, the candidates that advance the general election will be invited to participate in forums in October. October 18th, we will host another city council candidate forum. And October 24th, we will host another mayoral candidate forum. Both of those will be here at AL at 9 o'clock in the morning. Thanks again for attending. Have a great day.